movement, or so to speak. Well, after BBI, politics will obviously never be the same again, as the bill will transform this political landscape in a huge way at a time when the country grapples for a grasp of air. Now, this morning, we host youthful leaders who are and will be right at the center of all this change as Kenyans look up to them for sanity. Gloria Roba, political aspirant and youth policy analyst, alongside Honorable Babu Awino, Member of Parliament in Bakassi East, Paul Ongili, or so to speak. And also on the entertainment beat, like we had said, we'll have DJ Mr. JP and gospel musician Pitsun or Piston. I don't know how you call it, but I always have a look at it as though it's a, tongue twister. So it's about to do some Lingala Yesu and all that. They say it is Pitsun. It's a tongue twister. I can tell you that for free. But all the same, it's going to be a fun-filled moment this morning. So make sure that you keep it right here. Be part of us as we discuss the politics of the day, and importantly, as we take you to that moment where the day will end in high spirits. My name is Linda Alela. This is Morning Cafe, and the show begins right now. You can be rest assured that it's going to be an interesting one, courtesy of Mary Maria Mariamu, who's my producer, does it all well, does it so good. And so we do not forget also to say asante to you by equally allowing you to get a chance to get this voucher where you can get a cake for you and your loved one. You go out there to any branch of a Valentine's Cake House and you are able to get a cake. Well, it's a voucher that lasts up until around the 30th of April. So that means you'll have like a whole month to go out there and enjoy this cake with your loved ones. So you don't necessarily have to be close to a Valentine's Cake House, entity. You can always wait until that time. You'll be close to them. You go out there, give them this voucher, and they will give you that cake of your choice. So make sure that you interact with us on our social media platforms. Hashtag Morning Cafe at Linda_Alela at TV47KE. The numbers to call will be running down your screen. Equally, the SMS short code. We'd love to hear from you, and we get to sample some of your comments as we proceed with the show. Karibu sana. Let's kick the ball rolling. First of all, we look at the papers, what we have on the Standard newspaper, the Daily Nation, and the People Daily. I have the hard copies and equally the soft copies with me. Let's start with the Standard newspaper. Who will be the next KPA boss? And times are changing right here. And here it is. It is an interesting one right here. Yes, and of course we'll be looking at that, following closely in regards to this. It was a story captured on page 10, and you get an extensive look in regards to the same. But equally, there is a mystery of death of who will be the priest, woman, and child. This is also captured on page 12, an interesting story that you need to get to see about, something about it. Mystery deaths of would be priest, woman, and child. And this, lots of deaths that we see today because of, passion, or so to speak. Most of the people disappearing. I think it's important that we get to that point where we stay woke and are very careful, one, with the kinds of relationships that we get ourselves into, but importantly, the people that we deal with, whether business-wise or just generally. But away from it, also a story that is on the front page, what Uhuru Raila told party leaders, and a referendum on the BBI bill could be held by May. This is what it is that they say. It emerged after President Kenyatta hosted political leaders for nearly 4 hours at State House. That is yesterday. The leaders plan a countrywide engagement to sensitize the public on the document, a story captured on page 6. And we wait to see what will play out in regards to this. Like many have said, it is important that the people are spoken to about what it is that is said, so that at least when they go out there, they know what it is that they will be voting for, whether it's a yes or no. And whether at all this document goes to a referendum is also a question that is in debate, and we'll be discussing that as we proceed with the broadcast. And away from art, Joho Falls ODM delay in picking 2022 flag bearer. Well, eye on the prize. That's also an interesting story that has been captured right there. We'll be looking at it as we proceed. And also, On the hard copy, they speak of the CBC rollout, why parents will shoulder heavier burden. Just how heavy will the burden be is one thing that we'll be looking at even as we proceed with the broadcast. But as we drop this one to the front page of the Daily Nation, what has been captured on the Daily Nation? Let's take a look at that. And yes, here we are. Big split in Ruto camp over BBI. Which way? Key allies are pulling in different directions. One faction wants Deputy President William Ruto to ignore campaign and focus on 2022 election. A second is advising him to back the bill ahead of a referendum, while the third is pushing him to lead the no side. A story captured on page 4. Interesting times on matters politics, and all these three key things. Also, the other people who are on the other side are looking forward to see what direction the DP will take. Remember, earlier on he had said that he is not going to focus much on the BBI because the proponents were not for the idea that maybe a comprehensive conversation should be incorporated in regards to this particular document, while others also felt like it was important that he stays on the no camp so that it, gives a heated debate in regards to this, and also in its own special way it will have, a huge implication on the 2022 politics in the country. But anyway, we are here and we waited to see. This is after the BBI victory and leaders launch a countrywide tour that is captured on the front page. We'll be looking at that as we proceed. How counties mismanaged COVID audit report reveals inconsistencies in accounts and delays in procurement, captured on page 14 of the Daily Nation. We'll be looking at that. It's pretty much unfortunate to note, but then again, we've seen even what has played out in this grilling in regards to the KEMSA scandal. The conversation is on, even as we also look at a scenario where we are set to have the vaccines as captured on page 10 of the Daily Nation. And they say hope. Ministry says Kenya is now assured of fast consignment after Ghana became the first African country to receive vaccines under the COVAX initiative. A story captured on page 10, and even as the vaccines are set to come into the country, the big question then would be just how genuine will we have these individual leaders ensuring that, well, one, these vaccines get into the country, the procurement processes are done proper, and of course we'll have no problems to worry about, especially in regards to matters graft. And we'll be following up on that to see what plays out in the corridors of justice, replacing Maraga, what JSC must do. Yes, the Daily Nation has been following up in regards to this. And then again, we all know how crafty it can be an affair to get, a CJ coming in after another has retired. And so it's a conversation that is ongoing. And we take a look at it and keen eye just to see who is going to come in handy towards continuing with the legacy or making it even better. That is the legacy of former CJ David Maraga. Extra cost of parliament in if BBI passes, that is a conversation that has been there. The biggest question is, tumeongeza mizigo au tumepunguza mizigo? We discussed that as we proceed. We're looking at about 3.7 billion Kenyans could find themselves with a bill of about 3.7 billion a year for parliamentarians' salaries. Just how genuine is this? We need to get into the drawing board. We need to get, to do our math, and we see whether indeed it will be worth passing this document or not. But as many would argue, or the proponents would argue, even if it's going to be an expensive affair, running the activities of these legislatures or these leaders, then if they add value, if they go out there and serve us, if we cut the aspect of corruption, then it will be a good thing to look at this particular document and probably allow it to sail through. That is on the Daily Nation. And as we look at what it is that has been captured on the People Daily, I've not been able to get a hold of it just yet, but once we do that, I am sure we'll be able to go through the same alongside the guests that I will be having this morning. But briefly, of what is happening on the roads, not so bad this morning. It is a Friday. We always say that Fridays are pretty much of a breeze, and I think Nairobi is not looking so ugly on the roads this morning. This is Mombasa Road, and all the way from the Athi River, We go all the way down to Mlolongo. You find some bit of traffic or tenets of traffic as you proceed. In most cases, these places are notorious, and also there are roadworks somewhere around there. So when you get to this point of Syokimau, moving on as you proceed to town, you get traffic, but all the same, it doesn't look that bad. All the way to these sides of Nairobi West, you find a bit of traffic, but it eases up even as you get right straight into the city. That is Mombasa Road, and on this side there is Lusaka Road, and around there is Landis Road, where you realize that there's no much traffic this morning. This is Lusaka Road, Landis is on this other side, not looking so bad. And on this other side we have Jogoo Road. Jogoo Road, as from Makadara, in most cases you will find traffic, and so you can see there is some level of traffic right there, but it eases up as you are headed to town, and it becomes more or less like an easy ride into the city. Let's go down a bit to the sides of Donholm. I mean, let's take a look at how Outer Ring Road looks like. Manyanja Road on this other side, you realize that there's a bit of traffic somewhere around Donholm there as you take Manyanja Road. So when you get there, you expect some tenets of traffic, but it is not so bad as it is moving. And on this side, Outer Ring, all the way from Allsops and to Allsops, not looking so bad. This is down from these sides of Buruburu and going down Outer Ring, does not look so bad. You go to some places, you find traffic. This is somewhere around Tena there, Feather Estate, but it eases up. And now coming to this other side also, you get some bit of traffic as you proceed, but then it does not look bad. This is going all the way down to Embakasi, which is not so bad this morning. Let's take a look at Airport Road. Airport Road also not looking bad this morning as you connect to the Eastern Bypass. Down to the Eastern Bypass, it's pretty much of an ease. Airport Road is an ease, apart from some bit of areas where you get some level of traffic that is moving though, and going down to Embakasi and down all the way. It doesn't look bad this morning. Connecting you to Mombasa Road, like we said, Mombasa Road somewhere around Cabanas there, it's not looking so good. So if you're taking Mombasa Road, you know what it is that you expect going all the way down to Imara Daima. What other place is there? Let's look at what is happening on these other sides. Yes, let's look at what is happening on Thika Road. Thika Road is notorious as always. Here we are. We start from around Githurai and going down, you find some bit of traffic as you proceed all the way. So if you're taking Thika Road, you know that it's not so looking good. So as you come from, these sides of Garden City coming to Allsops, there is traffic, and then from there again you get traffic. Proceeding all the way to Pangani, you will experience traffic, somewhere around there, Muthaiga. It is not looking all rosy. So the people who are using Thika Road, as always, you just have to keep up with ease, or to put up with that. Juja Road, not bad at all, apart from this bit of Moi Air Base where you get some level of traffic, but it eases up, and so you need not to worry if you're taking Juja Road. It's just that bit and you are good to go. Where else do we have to look at? Muthaiga Road looking all good as you come to connect to Limuru Road, is equally looking all good. On the sides of Runda, Ruaka, Red Hill Road, Peponi Road, it is all easy this morning. Even landing to the Northern Bypass is equally not looking so bad as you can see. So as you're headed to those sides of Two Rivers, yes, the Northern Bypass is looking all rosy this morning. Let's go down a bit as we come to a close. Yes, Waiyaki Way, one of the key roads. Waiyaki Way is not as bad this morning also. Around some bit of roadworks around Kino there, but then again, it is all a breeze as you're taking that direction. So if you're there, no cause for alarm. Connecting us to these sides of Kawangware, State House Road, Valley Road, Kenyatta Avenue, it is all good. And dropping to Ngong Road. Ngong Road also is not as notorious as it has always been known to be. It looks all easy. As you headed to town, you find some tenets of traffic, very minimal though, and then that means you need not to worry if you're taking Ngong Road this morning. Gitanga Road this morning looking all rosy also. Oloitoktok, Kikambala, around Kileleshwa, Lavington there. Even as you take a look at James Gishuru, it is all rosy, and so you need not to worry if you're taking that direction. The only road we've not looked at, the Southern Bypass, is all good this morning. Let's take a look at Langata Road also. Langata Road to and from town also not looking as bad all the way. So you need not to worry. This is around the Wilson Airport, and so it's pretty much of an ease along Langata Road. Gotv Way is also not bad as you come to connect to Ngong Road. Yes, that's all we have for you on the roads. Anything happening, we'll be here to update you. You can as well interact with us if you are on the roads this morning. Tell us what it looks like for you, and so that we are able to update everyone of us who's watching the show this morning. Now, let's briefly look at what my team has prepared in terms of news. And Parliament has received certificates and approvals of the Constitution Amendment Bill from at least 30 county assemblies. National Assembly Speaker Justin Muturi says that the House Business Committee is set to meet as from today ahead of a debate anytime next week, as Elizabeth Mutuku tells us.
Parliament has received the copies of Constitutional Amendment Draft Bill and certificates of approval from at least 30 counties. National Assembly Speaker Justin Muturi says the House Business Committee will meet from tomorrow ahead of consideration by Parliament from next week.
Honourable members, with respect to the deadlines, a simple calculation reveals that 14 other county assemblies are yet to deliver the draft bill to the speakers of the House of Parliament with a certificate indicating either the approval or rejection of the bill.
Senate Speaker Kenneth Lusaka has also confirmed receipt of copies, with bill expected to be published in at least 2 local dailies and the Kenya Gazette.
We have resolved to commence the process of consideration of the bill in Parliament without further delay, in accordance with the Constitution and the standing orders of the respective houses. Honorable Senators, in this regard, I hereby direct the clerk to publish at the appropriate time the following information in at least 2 newspapers of national circulation and in the Gazette for general information of the public.
However, Baringo County Assembly presented the certificates without draft bill as required. County Assemblies of Kwale and Nyamira also presenting incomplete documents, but the House is open for 3 to present the proper documents.
However, note, honourable members, that the County Assembly only submitted a certificate of rejection and failed to submit a copy of the draft bill as required under the guidelines. It may not therefore be possible to know what they rejected. C. Kwale County Assembly submitted a certificate of approval but failed to submit a copy of the draft bill that was considered by the Assembly, again making it not possible for us to determine what they approved.
National Assembly Majority Leader Amos Kimunya says the debating and passing of the bill in the House might not take more than 3 weeks.
This is the first time we are doing a bill. We're discussing a constitutional amendment bill through the popular initiative pursuant to the provisions of Article 255, 256, 257 of the Constitution. So it's a new experience even for Parliament. And hence the 2 speakers are consulting widely in terms of how we take it forward. It's not like the other ordinary bills that we do first reading, second reading, and continue in accordance with our standing orders.
Kimunya further dismissing fears of funding of a referendum which is likely to be held mid this year.
We must provide resources for the referendum. Now, if the referendum is in May, we must provide those resources in May, right? If the referendum is in July, we can provide that in the next budget, right? But the bottom line is the resources will have to be provided. It's a constitutional right of the 3 million Kenyans who have put their signature to the BBI bill.
Parliament having received the BBI draft bill from at least 30 counties now, the Parliament is expected to take at least 3 weeks to debate and pass the bill before forwarding it to President Uhuru Kenyatta. Elizabeth Mutuku, TV 47 Parliament Buildings, Nairobi.
The County Assembly of Nandi is the second county to reject the Constitutional Amendment Bill 2020 after Baringo rejected the bill last week. However, the reggae is not stopping, at least according to President Uhuru Kenyatta and his handshake partner Raila Odinga. A joint consultative meeting of the national and county leaders is set to be held early next month, as Joash Onsari now reports.
Nandi County becomes the second county assembly to reject the BBI reggae. 23 members of the assembly voted against the constitutional amendment bill, while 13 members voted for the bill.
13 of the elected members are in support of the bill. 23 are against the Constitution of Kenya Amendment Bill. Therefore, honorable members, the bill fails at the County Assembly of Nandi.
Nandi's move coming a week after Baringo MCS rejected the bill. So far, 41 county assemblies have adopted the bill, with 4 yet to debate it. The 4 include Elgeyo Marakwet, Uasin Gishu, Kilifi, and Mandera, which are set to debate the bill in the coming days. Nandi is perceived as Deputy President William Ruto's stronghold. DP Ruto, through his allies, have been opposing the Constitutional Amendment Bill.
Tunashukuru Mungu leo hii kwa sababu jambo ambalo tumengoja kwa muda mrefu sana tumemaliza leo. Na nataka niseme ya kwamba tulienda kulingana na vile raia walisema. Walituambia angusha hii kitu, na sisi tumefanya hivyo kwa sababu tunajua huu ni muziko kwa watu wetu kule mashinani.
As an assembly, we took this part knowing very well that a majority of the county assemblies voted yes for the BBI, but because we are saying in times like this is where leadership is shown, because we are saying we must do this so that the Kenyan leadership can bend back and say what is that the people of Nandi saw it fit to reject this PBI as opposed to accepting it.
President Uhuru Kenyatta and ODM boss Raila Odinga are scheduled to launch a BBI campaign timeline next week. The two have met ANC's Musalia Mudavadi, Wiper's Kalonzo Musyoka, Moses Wetangula of Ford Kenya, KANU Chairman Gideon Moi, and Kitui Governor Charity Ngilo in State House Thursday. A joint consultative meeting involving the leadership of members of parliament and counties will take place next week.
Today, on behalf of a grateful nation, we convey our immense gratitude to all our county assemblies for their monumental support for this popular initiative. And to this end, we shall hold a consultative meeting on Tuesday, 9th March, involving members of parliament and the county leadership.
In Baringo, MCAs are still on disagreement following the move by the County Assembly to reject the bill. Members of the County Assembly, allied to Area Senator Gideon Moi, are insisting that members of the public were not involved in the process.
Tuna haibu. Nimeweza kuongea na MCAs, members wetu, na wamebaki kwamba walitekeleza jukumu lao ipasavyo na hawana aibu kwamba wangefanya tofauti.
Sioni maana ya watu kuongea mengi ya nini, na tumemaliza. Baringo wamevote BBI chini, wameangusha. Senator wa Baringo hata hatujui jamaa. Tunaonanga akizunguka akiuza sera za BBI. Akiuza huko nje hata counties hajakanyaga Baringo. So sisi hapa kwa kulingana maoni ya wananchi, sisi tuliweza kutekeleza maoni ya wananchi.
BBI Secretariat is anticipating a referendum on or before June this year. Joash Onsare, TV 47.
And on that note, President Uhuru Kenyatta met members of his cabinet to discuss several bills and policies as part of the government's post-COVID-19 economic recovery plan. Some of the bills that were discussed in the cabinet meeting include the Children Bill 2020 that seeks to address the increased vulnerability of children in the country. Now, the cabinet noting that the newly unveiled competency-based curriculum in schools will provide children with a safe space to explore themselves. The cabinet also discussed the Universities Amendment Act 2021, which is seeking to entrench the ethos of good governance in Kenya's institutions of higher learning. Other approved bills include the Public-Private Partnership Bill 2021, the Public Procurement and Asset Disposal Amendment Bill 2020, the Universities Amendment Bill 2020, the National Sustainable Waste Management Policy and Bill 2020, and the Community Groups Registration Bill 2019. DP Ruto was part of the meeting. And we now take a short break. After this break, we get into the discussion alongside Gloria Uroba, who's a youth policy analyst and equally a political aspirant, alongside Member of Parliament in Bakassi East, Babu Owino, or Paul Ongili. We're almost saying commonly known as Babu Owino, but he's Paul Ongili. So we'll be discussing more on the political arena right here in the country. So make sure that you keep it right here. Keep sending your comments, your questions, and we'll certainly be here to look at them after this break.
They say the way to the heart is through the stomach. This month of love, Throwdown shares with you those amazing food ideas for that candlelit dinner and picnic date. Learn those dining etiquette and avoid those embarrassing moments every Sunday at 6:30 p.m. What's the perfect way to kickstart your day in the morning? Well, apart from having a healthy breakfast, the Morning Cafe is all you need. We will inform you on what's happening on the roads, dive deeper into the newspapers, alongside heated political debates. Did you know that your greatest wealth is health?
Then we start eating right, and that's what I do in my clinic.
With some good Friday vibes. The Morning Cafe with Linda Alela, Monday to Friday, from 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. Only on TV 47. On the grind, we bring you different entrepreneurs who give the story of their businesses with love and passion.
I'm a musician forever. This is something that is inborn.
It excites me each day. It's a field that has always excited me.
Because when you show love to your business, it will show love to you.
The most rewarding bit of being a photographer is seeing a bride able to see her images of her wedding and evoke emotion in her and just relive the moment once again.
Get to hear these stories and so much more every Monday at 7:30 p.m. On Coffee with Movie, we bring you great testimonies from amazing personalities.
Mwanzo wa kwanza alikaa ndani ilikuwa intense.
cause alikuwa yeye alikuwa atafuta place atawaka akifanya thesis zake.
Stories that will inspire and encourage you.
Hiyo kitu ilisha waswa ni clap. Sheila told us this is what we've been looking for.
And some that will even make you laugh out loud.
You have chapa kawa ya kutuliza temperature kabla hiyo story.
Na wewe kuleta mandazi bro.
Mbona ingekuwa coffee and mandazi ni
Make sure you catch the episodes of Coffee with Movie every Sunday at 8 p.m. Love is friendship that has caught fire. It is the month of love.
When you're loved truly, every grain of your personality changes.
Ooh. A great time to add more fire to your love life.
Why not have a journey before the climax rather than always thinking about the climax?
With great insights from our panelists.
It ought to start during the day. Ikifika pale jioni, sasa flirting ndio inafika kilele. Yeah, that is when now you go for your beautiful dress.
And spice to your relationship. Only on the Garden of Eden. Every Wednesday.
President Uhuru Kenyatta and Right Honorable Raila Odinga led political party leaders in congratulating counties for passing the BBI, and in what we'd probably look at as a beginning of another grand rainbow movement, or so to speak. After BBI, politics will obviously never be the same again, as the bill will transform this political landscape in a huge way at a time when the country is equally grappling with so much, in terms of unemployment, talk of poverty levels, talk of high cost of living. So this morning, like I said earlier on, we'll be hosting youthful leaders who are and will be actually part of this huge political change, as we look up to them for sanity. Gloria Oroba, as I earlier mentioned, a political analyst and also a political aspirant, alongside Honorable Member of Parliament Embakasi East, Babu Owino, will be joining us for this conversation this morning, as we just generally look at the politics of the day in terms of, or better yet, so to speak, in that eye of youthful leaders. And so we'd love for you to be part and parcel of this conversation this morning, as we ponder some more on what way forward, especially at this point, now that the conversation of the day is informed by the sailing through of the BBI, that is the Constitutional Amendment Bill 2020 at the level of the counties. Good to have you, Muhesh.
Thank you.
Kila mtu anakutoroka. We're supposed to have Honorable Didmas Baraza here too, lakini alisema ametuma apologies.
This conversation would have been more interesting.
I know, right?
Would have been here.
I don't know why he decided to.
How do they want to win the presidency if they are running away this early? So which means
do you equate that to running away? Really?
He's already run away, and the juice is worth the squeeze.
Worry not. We have an able representative in Gloria Oroba, and she will be joining us via Skype. So we also are set to have an incredible, conversation, probably, because then it's going to be better, because she will be having that eye of a common mwananchi, and equally a person who's probably been against what it is that your side is fronting.
It's okay.
So in a huge way, it is also going to be an instrumental conversation. So karibu sana. And let's start from the obvious one, the sailing through of this document. Gloria, can you hear me?
Morning, I can hear you, Lela.
You well?
Yes, I'm good.
It's been a minute. I expected to have you in studio, but all the same, it's okay. We'll do it via Skype.
Yes, greetings from Kiti County.
Honorable Babu is here listening to you, and I'm telling you, you're equally an able, panelist, or someone who can take him or take him, or just counter him in regards to what it is that we're talking about right now, especially what it is that his team is fronting on matters BBI. He says it would have been a better conversation or an interesting one, so to speak, if we had Didmus here. He's on the other side. I'd want to assume you're also on the other side, Gloria.
When you talk about the other side, I think you mean those who are opposing the Building Bridges initiative.
Oh, yes.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes, and so here we are. The document sailed through, so to speak. You expected this, right?
Yes, I did. I expected it to pass in the county assemblies because at that level, the elected members are actually looking out for their interests. They introduced the funds that the MCAs would be in control of. So for them, they're looking at if they get really elected, they definitely will, they at least now will have a fund, because remember, CDF is under the members of parliament. So this wasn't a surprise. And also we've seen in different counties that they were bribed, so to speak. Other than the car grant, they were actually bribed by tokens of money before they went to have the bill discussed in the county assemblies. So it is not shocking that 41, I think we are now at 41 county assemblies have passed it. And I think the question then becomes, let's now go to the Mwananchi and see how they feel about this.
Well, this is common, but I don't know whether you're going to counter what she says. Well, they stand to be allegations, but interesting to note is that I had a member of county assembly here yesterday who equally acknowledged that money exchanged hands. It's very unfortunate that when we're talking about such a crucial document that is set to transform so much about the country, and then we are having a scenario where we discuss the fact that money exchanged hands.
Now, I want, Gloria, good morning.
Yes.
Morning.
And good morning to fellow Kenyan citizens.
Yeah.
Now, I want to say that this idea and the notion that people think that because of enticing the MCAs is what made the MCAs pass the referendum bill or the amendment or the BBI bill. I don't think if that's the right direction that we should take, because number one, it is a political process. BBI is a political process, and in a political process, you use political means,
right,
to achieve what you are supposed to achieve.
So bribery is a political mean?
Now, let me tell you something. In Central, for example, there are 5 members of county assembly who never voted for the BBI bill out of a possible over 500 members of the MCAs. In Central Province. Does it mean that the 5 were never bribed? Probably they received something.
Yes.
In Nandi County, there was an enticement policy, if that is what we can call it, but they never passed it.
Right.
Baringo never passed it.
But they will enjoy all this.
But they will enjoy all this. So by the end of the day, number one, it is a political process. And in a political process, there can be appreciation, but not bribery.
Right.
And you also have your free will to choose whether to accept the appreciation or not. People are talking about the issue of the car grant that were given to the MCAs to entice them to vote for it. Even those in Baringo were given that car grant, they never voted. Those in Nandi were given car grant, but they never voted. What does that tell you? It tells you that those who voted for the best interest of the common Mwananchi.
Right.
Why? Because the document itself entails what the common Mwananchi needs. What I do agree with Gloria is that there is the introduction of the ward fund. And what I don't agree with her is that she's saying that the ward fund is the interest of the MCAs. It is not really the interest of the MCAs, but it is the interest of the common Mwananchi, because the ward fund will be used at the ground level for development purposes, for issuance of bursaries, for probably, let's say, renovation or construction of some classes, or probably a school, depending on which amount of money you will be given. Now, when we talk about that, we are diverting, we are moving towards the interest of the common Mwananchi. It's not necessarily the interest of that leader. That leader is just the face.
Interesting to note is that I have very many friends who are members of county assemblies, and equally people that I have hosted here, and they acknowledge that, well, they are politically affiliated to the Tanga side. But in regards to the document, they decided to put aside their political stance and they focused on looking on what it is that this document brings to the common mwananchi. And to them, they said they sailed the document through just because they believe that it has something for the common mwananchi, and they chose not to go, in regards to what it is their side speaks about.
You know, this document is not about just me and you. This document is about a whole nation. And people tend to think that we are trying to amend a constitution, which is an illegal act. This is not an illegal act. We are trying to do something which is legitimized. In the last schedule of the constitution, it is so clear and it states that a constitution can be amended. And a constitution is a living document. It is subject to amendment.
The argument, Babu, is that we do not want to go through numerous amendments. If there are things that we can work on, at once, then why not do that? And probably that's why the dissenting voices have come out to say that, what, we probably do not need this now. Maybe we should have a progressive conversation in regards to this, a robust conversation in regards to this. And they have constantly maintained that they probably are not having any problems with what is incorporated therein. And if it is so, then why not have a conversation that would probably get some of these changes that they wish to be incorporated, discussed, and maybe incorporated, and vice versa. So at least together we treat Kenyans to a once and for all scenario, as opposed to speaking of a scenario where we're going to do this, then years later again we find ourselves doing the same thing.
Let us not be a prophet that years later we're going to find ourselves doing that. But even if we amend this constitution and we find that there are some few faults in it, we are still allowed to amend this same constitution.
Yes.
Because it is constitutional to amend the same constitution. But there is also a difference between constitution and constitutionalism.
Right.
Constitution is the document. Constitutionalism is the act by which you implement what is in the constitution.
Right.
So for me, it's about the constitutionalism, the implementation of the constitution that we have. Already the Kenya 2010 constitution, which is the apex of the law, to some extent has been implemented, and we've already achieved certain functions like devolution.
Not to the expectations of many, and I'm sure Gloria will agree with
something has
that.
been achieved.
All right.
Something has been achieved. Let us agree it is a process. Rome wasn't built in a day. Kenya won't be built in a day. But at least when we are moving from one step to the other, it is better. So in such a situation where you are talking about conversation will never end in this country, because politics will always surround this conversation. We were supposed to converse just the other day when everybody was given an opportunity to bring their views on the table. But people want to bring their views post the agreement. We can't agree even in a family setup. Even twins won't think the same.
Hold it right there. Let's have Gloria come in and maybe tell us what it is that makes her, as a Kenyan, probably look at this document as something that would not be so friendly in terms of making the changes that we expect or we envision. When you speak about implementation, many have argued that maybe the constitution that we have, the 2010 constitution, has not been implemented to our expectation. But like you rightfully put it, there are equally others that argue, well, at least something has been done in regards to that. Most of these laws, or most of these clauses that have been incorporated in the BBI, some of them argue, are things that we already have. We're not short of laws. It's just that we do not have that goodwill of implementing. And so begging the question, just how genuine will the leadership that we are having today be in terms of even implementing what has been incorporated in the BBI? And so Gloria, when you come in, do you suppose that this is a revolution in disguise, a velvet revolution in the offing?
First of all, I want to agree with Babu Wino when he says that this whole process of the Building Bridges initiative is a political process, and therefore political ways and means are being used by our political leaders to sort of sway the MCAs or the MPs or the leaders into voting for this bill. When he talks about incentivizing the MCAs or political leaders, that's okay if he wants to call bribery, if he wants to give it a new name. But I want to say something. At the end of the day, the same way the MCAs, he cannot say that the MCAs were not looking out for their interest. It is known in public that the members of county assembly, their greatest concern has been that as much as they are elected leaders who are supposed to bring development to their counties, they don't have a resource, they don't have a fund that they control. And so therefore it has been really a struggle for them to work with the MPs in order to have the CDF, spread out across the constituencies. So when the MCAs were actually given this ward fund, which is I think 5% of the revenue collected from the counties, for them they see it as an opportunity that even if I get re-elected, at least if I promise that for sure I will give 5 or 6 or 10 people bursaries, I know exactly where I'm going to get that money. I'm in control of that money and stuff like that. So at the end of the day, as much as they are looking, or Babu said they're looking in the interest of the people, first of all, before they go down to the people, they're looking in the interest of how they maintain their seats and how they get re-elected and the kind of money that they will have in control. And that is just a fact. So when we talk about now moving to a referendum, because we are going to pass these things in the county assembly, it's going to pass. When we go to the referendum, the same way the member of county assemblies, the MPs, and even the executive or the top leadership who are really excited about the expansion of the executive, the same way they are looking into their interests, they should also allow the citizen, the private citizens, the common mwananchi down here to also look into our interests. So Alela, for me, the reason, one of the main reasons that I do not support this BBI is because I truly honestly believe that there is nothing in it for the youth. Now let me explain that. The moment I say that statement, I know those drivers of the initiative will come and say, but you've received 7-year tax break, but we have put the National Youth Council. Those two things are not what the youth need. First of all, we've talked about tax breaks and how you cannot give a tax break to a person who does not have any income, and how even if you give me a 7-year tax break and by the time I have a business, I'm actually 32. How many years of that 7 years am I able to enjoy and say, because of the 7-year tax break as a youth, I can actually see the interest that the BBI has for the youth.
Right.
When you talk about the they are calling it the National Youth Commission. I have questioned because I've looked at the proposal of how the National Youth Commission is going to work, how they're saying they are going to recruit down to the ward level. They are going to have representatives who will then sit in a special committee which is autonomous and independent, and all these nice things. All those nice things are currently the same that we have at the National Youth, it's called Council. The one that is National Youth Service. I don't even, you see now hata tunachanganyikiwa na hizi ma NYC, but the one that is under the Ministry of Youth, which is led by Roy, we have the exact same thing. Actually, the only difference is that, from what I understand, what BBI is proposing is that now this youth agency is going to be completely autonomous and will not be sitting under the youth ministry, and so therefore they will have their budgets and things like that.
All right.
But let's answer your question on the constitution. Are we sure they are going to implement it? We are now 10 years after the new constitution. Have they implemented it? That's exactly the problem that the commoners are facing. If we were given the 2010 constitution and we were told that it's going to bring devolution down, we were told that as much as the cap for the monies that are being allocated to the counties, it is a minimum of 15%. We were told that, of course, devolution, we are going to feel it trickling down. If we were told all these nice things about the 2010 constitution, including gender, the 2/3 gender rule, which they have failed to implement, the same people are now coming with a new document. The same exact people are now promising heaven on earth. How sure are we that they are going to actually implement it? And so there's a question of trust,
Yes. All right, let's allow Babu come in. And I know I'm finding it so hard. I don't know whether I should call you Babu or Apollo Ngili. Which one do you
all those are my...
all of them are.
My names.
All right, Honorable Babu. Listen to what it is that she raises. And there are numerous issues that, speak of what it is the common mwananchi is asking. This is likely to, make BBI suffer a blow. So
I want to talk to my sister Gloria, and I would love to say that Gloria, you are too beautiful to oppose BBI. Okay. Why am I saying so? You remember when you're opposing this BBI, you are making me think that you are a tanga person. When the devil went to God and God asked him, "Where are you from? Where have you been?" The devil said that nimekuwa kule chini, nimekuwa nikitanga. Please, can you cross the line and come over to where the righteous
Give her reasons to do that.
These are the reasons. Number one, in the Bible, there was a gentleman. I don't know if he's Nehemiah. God wanted to give him a child, but he doubted. Then he had to be made blind until that child came. That's when he saw. Number 2, there is Diogenes the Cynic. This gentleman was traveling in a train. Inside the train got an accident. Then Diogenes, fortunately enough, jumped out of the window before just the train crashed. Then he hung on a branch of a tree at night. Then people were passing by and telling Diogenes, calm down. People who came to witness the accident. Then Diogenes said, no, I cannot calm down. The person came, Diogenes, calm down, I cannot. Third person, calm down, I cannot. Then Diogenes had to sleep the whole night hanging on a tree branch. Then when the morning came, Diogenes was surprised to notice that he was only 1 foot away from the ground. So Diogenes would have just jumped down to save himself all the trouble.
All right.
Then, were it not for the faith of David in killing Goliath, he would have not succeeded to being a king.
All right.
It is because of the faith of David in killing a lion, because he had to choose between his life and the life of the sheep that he was looking after. It is because of that faith that he made it. It is because of the faith that Abraham had that he got a child. It is because of the faith that Esther had that she got favor from God. It is because of the faith that Gloria must have for Kenya to move forward. We will not live in negativity. We will not say this document is not for the best interest of the youth, nor women. Let me tell you something.
Hold it. Let's take a quick break and then we come back on that aspect of faith.
They say the way to the heart is through the stomach. This month of love, Throwdown shares with you those amazing food ideas for that candlelit dinner and picnic date. Learn those dining etiquette and avoid those embarrassing moments every Sunday at 6:30 p.m. What's the perfect way to kickstart your day in the morning? Well, apart from having a healthy breakfast, the Morning Cafe is all you need. We will inform you on what's happening on the roads, dive deeper into the newspapers, alongside heated political debates.
I have to fight the order.
Yes.
Order.
Did you know that your greatest wealth is health?
Then we start eating right, and that's what I do in my clinic.
With some good Friday vibes. The Morning Cafe with Linda Alela, Monday to Friday, from 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. Only on TV 47. On the Grind, we bring you different entrepreneurs who give the story of their businesses with love and passion.
I'm a musician forever. This is something that is inborn.
It excites me each day. It's a field that has always excited me.
Because when you show love to your business, it will show love to you.
The most rewarding bit of being a photographer is seeing a bride able to see her images of her wedding and evoke emotion in her and just relive the moment once again.
Get to hear these stories and so much more every Monday at 7:30 p.m. On Coffee with Movie, we bring you great testimonies from amazing personalities.
Mwanzo wa kwanza alikaa ndani ilikuwa intense cause alikuwa yeye alikuwa atafuta place atawaka akifanya thesis zake.
Stories that will inspire and encourage you.
Hiyo kitu ilisha wasoni clap. Sheila told us this is what we've been looking for.
and some that will even make you laugh out loud.
You have chapa kawa ya kutuliza temperature kabla ya hiyo story.
Na wewe hukuleta mandazi bro.
Mbona ingeandikwa coffee and mandazi nyingine?
Make sure you catch the episodes of Coffee with Movie every Sunday at 8 p.m. Love is friendship that has caught fire. It is the month of love.
When you're loved truly, every grain of your personality changes.
Ooh.
A great time to add more fire to your love life.
Why not have a journey before the climax rather than always...
Welcome back to the broadcast, still with me, Honorable Member of Parliament, Embakasi East, Babu Owino, and Gloria Oroba, who's a youth policy analyst and equally a political aspirant. We get into more details of this. Let's first start by picking some of the comments that have come along, even as we continue or as we have already started. Now, it's no longer tenable even to discuss this document in this platform. Let Wanjiko, Atieno, Nafula decide on this. MCAs are no longer the people's representatives. This is feedback from Andrew Chepsaigut, who is countered by Jakenya Musa, who says, hey, what about the members of county assemblies from Baringo, Wasingishu, and Nandi? Just backing what it is that you said. And Berry Odhiambo says, in as much as I do not oppose the BBI, it is futile without political will to develop the country by good governance. So whether BBI or PPI or DDI or MMI or TTI or all this, honorable leaders are just acting Niger movies. I have been around long enough to know that the president is not limited by law to build the nation. Babu, you were winding up on something in regards to the faith that Gloria should adapt for us to see the document sail through.
Actually, Linda, a point of correction. The person who was struck dumb in the Bible, not made blind, but Zachariah, father of John the Baptist,
yes.
When the angel came to him and made a revelation or a prophecy that you will get a child, he never believed.
Right.
He never had faith. It is Zachariah, father of John the Baptist, and was struck dumb. So in relation to what Gloria said, you know, this document is in the interest of the common mwananchi, the youth that we are talking about. The last document introduced the idea of the youth fund and the women fund and the Uwezo fund. And we can see, as much as it is not fully implemented, in my constituency alone, women are now receiving money from the women fund to a tune of 60 million per year. That is what has been set aside for them. Okay. And I do always at least enlighten my members, the women in my constituency, to register for various groups so that they can access these loans. Youth are also receiving money. Today I'm going to issue money from the women fund and checks from the Wezo fund and the youth fund to my people in the constituency. So which means that these are beneficiaries. The people who are benefiting are the common mwananchi.
Okay.
Gloria, I'm surprised, Gloria being a lady, ought to have supported even the idea that this affirmative action is being taken care of.
It didn't
by
work
the
on the
introduction.
current constitution as it is.
It is being taken care of in the coming constitution, in the future constitution, the 2021 constitution, where women will be elected automatically in the Senate, and at least there will be that equal representation. There will be proper nomination to take care of the two-third gender rule. That is benefits of the women. And also the idea of if a woman becomes a governor, a male figure becomes a deputy governor, and vice versa. That was changed, but put that it may happen, may be considered, which means it's still constitutional.
Right.
So it can still happen.
Yes.
So those are taking interest of the women in this country.
You know very well how, and I mean, I've had nominated members of parliament here, and they have argued that it's not always so rosy for them. Especially when you're nominated, you barely have a say.
They don't even vote,
this has gotten women
they?
feeling like they do not need that aspect of affirmative action. Yes, let's allow Gloria respond.
First of all, I'm glad that Miwa has tried to win me over. Unfortunately, he tried to win me over using vitendawillis. I come from the Gotv community. Okay. The Gotv community, we are very, very pragmatic. So when someone asks you, nitafika aje ile stage ya embakasi, you cannot start telling them, pray to the Lord, have faith, ka pale alafu, you have to give practical and implementable
we should need
answers.
that process.
Now, let me go forward to what he says, that he's surprised that as a woman, I am not voting for Building Bridges initiative because, according to him, they are trying, the affirmative action that the BBI is proposing should entice me enough to vote for it. I want to remind Mheshimiwa that the fact that they have removed the women from the National Assembly and taken them to the Senate. And then they have further gone to say that now, as we are going to have cabinet secretaries, we are going to now appoint the cabinet secretaries from where? From the National Assembly. So first of all, they have actually, kitu mmefanya mmesema, now you're moving us to where there was an opportunity for us to become cabinet members, to become ministers, and now you've said now you're taking us to the Senate, of which I keep asking, at the Senate, at the National Assembly, they actually have a fund that they control, the CDF. Yeah. You move me to the Senate where it is an oversight role, which is not a bad thing, but it is also saying that you're taking away the opportunities that I could have had if I was at the National Assembly. The other thing about what he's talking about, the nomination. Remember, there's a lot of jokes and memes that are going on about how we might end up with 650 members of parliament because we are going to struggle with that formula that BBI is putting to reach the 2/3 gender rule. Now, when you look at how they're doing the nomination of those members of parliament, at the point where we don't reach the 2/3 gender rule, then we have to go out and nominate these MPs. Right. If you look at the module that the BBI is proposing, a woman in Garissa who ran for office and probably got 2,000 votes, and the winner got 2,050 votes, is going to have less of a chance to be nominated than that one who ran for office in Kiambu and got 10,000 votes, and their winner got something like 25,000 votes. Because the model they're using is that you will be prioritized with the number of votes you receive once you run. So of course, those counties that have got less population, all the women in those counties are actually going to be discriminated by that formula of the population count.
Is there anything that you agree with that is within the document?
I agree with something, and I'm surprised that Mheshimiwa did not use that to come and tell BBI. You know, when he talks about Uwezo Fund and Youth Fund and all these funds that were introduced in the last constitution, yes, they have actually trickled down to the Mwananchi, and they have actually had some sort of impact. There are challenges in terms of what that money is being spent for. Remember, that money was supposed to be creating enterprises. That money was supposed to be given as capital. But now, because those people are not necessarily starting businesses, the fund has ceased to be revolving. Meaning there are some counties which are taking the money, wanajua hiyo ni pesa ya serikali, so they are not paying. But what I agree on with the Building Initiative is the introduction of what they're saying. It's actually they're scaling up the business incubation centers. Because what that does is, not only will the government be throwing out money to people who have no business skills, to people who have no intention of starting businesses and creating jobs, but now they will be ensuring that there is an incubation center where you are trained on businesses, you are actually mentored towards starting a business and ensuring that it breaks even and even scales up to create jobs. So I agree that there are a few things here and there. I also agree definitely with the fact that they have introduced a caveat where they're saying that if you're going to run for office as a governor, if you're a male, then you definitely have to get a running mate who's a female, and vice versa. Because what that does is it forces all these politicians who are men to start thinking that if I indeed want to win that seat, I have to now start looking for a woman who is going to be my deputy, or if I'm a woman, I definitely have to ensure that I have a man. Because the gender is not just about having women in power, it's really about ensuring that both genders have been included to the table. So I agree with those things.
Gloria, do you realize that even the proponents, a majority of the proponents do not technically agree with everything that is incorporated in the document, even the crafters themselves, and I've had conversations with a couple of them who argue that, well, in as much as, well, this document is not 100% in totality, but at least there's 88% that could be good, and therefore, as the people, why don't we just take advantage of that? Why is it that these two things that you agree to would not get you into the aspect of saying, let it sail through, and the others are going to be fixed later?
So Alela, my question is, if you go to a supermarket and you want to, now let me go to Vitandawilis because I have been taught. If you go to a supermarket and you want to buy milk and you don't want to buy bread and you don't want to buy butter or whatever, if they package it together, are you now forced to say, okay, now I had 40 shillings to buy milk, but from SM I need shillings. But so that's why we are saying, and that's why we are pushing
for multiple choices.
Yes, for multiple choices.
Babu, let's allow Babu respond to that.
Gloria.
Yes.
Number one, we are not doing case CPE here.
Okay.
We are not going for any examination test here. A referendum, it is clear, it is in the law that the Kenyan setup, we cannot have a multiple choice referendum.
He says it's a yes or a no.
It is a yes or a no issue. And certain things can be dealt with at the National Assembly. We can amend certain laws that we feel are obsolete or are not in action or are not wanted. Gloria is really saying, I've seen that Gloria really wants BBI, and within the next few minutes, I know she will cross over from being a proponent of the Tanga. You see, you've talked about the idea that there will be nominations. Are these not Kenyans who are being given opportunities to represent?
They are,
They are being given jobs. Okay. So let us not fight that fact that they are being given jobs. Number two, I've seen Gloria's interest is that she wants to be a cabinet secretary in the next government. Gloria, a third of that will come from the technocrats from outside, while two-thirds will come from within parliament. The fact that we are appointing two-thirds from within parliament to be ministers. What does this mean? It means that the wage bill will be cut down. Let me tell you one thing. A member of parliament earns 600,000 shillings a month. By 12, by 419, which will be in 2022, that brings to close to around 3 billion.
Yes, 3.7 there.
Around 3 billion. By the touch of a button, through RTGS, somebody stole 40 billion in a second. Touch of a button through Aror and Kimwarer scandal.
Okay.
Imagine youth were not even given an opportunity to clear the bushes around, even to cut the grass.
Okay.
And 40 billion went. And we are here complaining about the 3 billion. Number two, the fact that this wage bill is going to be cut by the fact that we are going to appoint ministers, it means that the MP will earn just the normal salary that he earns, only the additional responsibility allowance that shall be added on top of that, which means that a minister, together with everybody who works under him, shall be cut off. Okay. So that means that at least the wage bill is taken care of. Another issue of the trickle-down effect, so that at least we can see that a common mwananchi up to the ground level will benefit from this. And I was yesterday joking about it, that when a male member of parliament sponsors a slay queen to a salon, a salonist will get money after doing manicure, pedicure, and doing hair. That salonist will also take food to the family. She has a family that she's supporting. On the inverse, on the other side, a female member of parliament gets a slay king. This slay king goes to the gym so that he can work, he can overperform.
All right.
Then, in the gym, there's a gym instructor who probably eats 67 chapatis in a day. And these chapatis must be bought from a mama chapati, from somewhere. Mama chapati also has a family to take care of. So either way, there is that trickle-down effect up to the common mwananchi. So in my own interest and view, Gloria has agreed that indeed this document has more pros than the cons. Things that are going to be in support of the common mwananchi. And if you don't agree, tell me in a nutshell, what type of a constitution do you want? Because by the end of the day, even Jesus Christ, the most righteous, God the Son, look at how he was treated very unfairly. Look at how people doubted him. Look at how he did miracles, but people still didn't believe.
Look at the formation, or look at the individuals that were there with President Uhuru Kenyatta, well, other party leaders, as they were trying, or as they were congratulating the members of county assemblies. And evidently, what kind of, rage it spurs for the individuals that are in support of the Tanga side. The fact that, in as much as the BBI is being looked at as a document that brings peace, in a way it has segregated some certain individuals. Well, on the basis that, democratically they stand on the other side. I mean, what does it speak? Does it speak of a scenario where, yes, we're going to enjoy peace? Does it speak of a scenario where indeed this document is something that is meant to create peace?
Linda, I'm a victim of post-election harassment.
Yes.
After my election, I was arrested, rearrested, and another arrest. 3 criminal cases. And on top of that, I had a petition, election petition, that lasted for 1 year, 6 months. High Court, 6 months, when my election was nullified. Then I did appeal. My election was upheld, reinstated. Right. Then I went up to the Supreme Court when my opponent took me up to the Supreme Court. What does that tell you? There's a youth here elected at 29 years old, already going up to the Supreme Court level to defend his election. It's his rightful election. So being a victim of this post-election harassment, there are others who are victims. People lost lives. People fought in this country. Yes. For God's sake, Gloria, you are a mother. And the happiness of a woman is that the family is at peace, is that the child succeeds in life. But in this situation, your child goes out and the child is killed. Your husband goes out and the husband does not come home with food. Instead, the husband is participating in post-election, protecting and defending his inherent and inalienable rights. What does this tell you? It is women who suffer most in the house when all these things are happening. Because if the man is supposed to be providing and is not there to provide, what happens? So Gloria, even for the sake of the peace in this nation, for the lives that have been lost,
wisdom? What is
for
the
the
wisdom,
lives that have been
Babu,
lost, and for the properties that have been destroyed, Gloria should cross on the other side, because we've enjoyed this peace that we're enjoying because of the handshake.
By segregating others?
The first thing that I came here to do, Linda, when I got Gloria, let me hang on my lips as I finish, please. So,
all right.
Linda, when I came here, the first thing that I did to you was to do what? Was to greet you. What does that tell you?
Yeah.
The reception. I'm ready for us to contract. I'm ready for us to at least be in tandem with each other, be on one side and start a conversation. The first thing that Raila did is shelved his ambition and went and said, this country is bigger than myself as Raila. Then what did he do? Shaking hands with Uhuru for the interest of the Kenyan citizens, so that Kenyans can go to work as normal, so that economy can grow, so that people can do their businesses. But somebody somewhere in the name of Ruto was annoyed with his handshake. He was against it because he was included. He was told, you can come, the door is open. Raila is not part of this government. Raila came for the interest of the Kenyan citizens. And Ruto was annoyed at this. Why are you being annoyed when you are the deputy president of this country and somebody has come to give you peace so that you deliver on your manifesto?
Peace can only be felt, right? So if it is not felt, then one is allowed to, counter. One is allowed to question. One is allowed to, resist.
That's the agent of the devil.
All right, so let's listen in to what it is that Gloria has to say in regards to the same.
I'm very impressed that Heshimiwa has done his homework, because he found out that I have a child. Yes, I am a mother. And I want to stress out that I'm not just a mother, but I actually was very pregnant in the heights of 2007, 2008, post-election violence.
Wow.
And I want to let him know that I was in that other side. I was in the NRM. I was in that ODM movement. In my very heavy nature of my pregnancy at that time, I actually was very active in those spaces. We were fighting to go to Canaan. So there is nothing that Babu Owino can tell me that I have not gone through or experienced in terms of the ideologies that the ODM party is propagating. I wanted to make that clear. Now, when you're talking about bringing peace and uniting Kenyans, When this whole process started, the Building Bridges initiative, a lot of Kenyans were very welcoming towards it. They actually said, okay, if we're going to go around and find out what causes us to fight every 5 years, or why we have certain zones that have got conflict all the time, if we're going to go back and read the Truth, Justice and Reconciliation Commission report and implement it, if we're going to read the WACO report and implement it, Kenyans were very open to that. And that's the reason why when they selected the 14-member task force of senior citizens. Remember, Babu Owino is sitting here representing the youth, but I want to remind him that he was on that side of the BBI when they picked 14 members of the task force, all of them 50 years and above, with actually an average age of 50, and no youth was represented. We were okay with it because we understood that our elders, our seniors, are actually more experienced in bringing peace to this country. Now, when that conversation took a new toll of turning that whole initiative into a referendum, that is the reason why most of Kenyans, I included, said, wait a minute, what's going on? And if we're talking about a change or amendment of fundamental basis of the Constitution, we would like to be on the table. Alela, at that point, I wrote so many articles. I went to national stations like TV47 to advocate that now that we are talking about changing the Constitution and going to a referendum, then we must have all constituencies of people represented. We must have the clergy, we must have the people with disability, we must have the youth, we must have all these people who came out the first time and were against the BBI. That would never have happened if they were represented on that table. So yes, we at the beginning were supporting the Building Bridges initiative when it was talking about uniting Kenyans and shared prosperity to everyone. The moment the introduction of expansion of the executive, you know, creating this position such as the Prime Minister, Deputy Prime Minister, opposition, official leader of the opposition, and balancing out this 2/3 gender rule to bring us to 650 MPs. Yes, we have to be concerned, and as active citizens, we definitely have to come forward and say, if you're going to spend my money to do something and then end up doing the opposite, we want to speak about it, because BBI is sponsored and it is government funded. Basically, our taxes are paying for this initiative. So, I mean, Babu Owino, I appreciate that you are looking out for the plight of women, such as myself, who would like to have peace throughout, whether pre-election or post-election. I appreciate that. Actually, I expected that this would have been a more toxic conversation, but I appreciate that you're sticking to the issues and that you're trying as much as possible to represent the youth. But I want you to hear me. The youth are not well represented in the issues that BBI is fronting. If you want to appeal to us, the youth, because I am a youth, I want you to tell us how you're going to create jobs at a serious scale, because we don't have jobs. I want you to tell us how this National Youth Council is going to be different from the National Youth Commission, which has just been used as a front by the ministry to say that they're looking out for the agenda. I want you to tell us, at the end of the day, this executive that you've expanded, the Prime Minister, the Deputy Prime Minister, two of them and whatnot, how do the youth come in? How do the women come in? Where is the caveat that we will see that when we have the expanded executive, you are going to include that?
Gloria, let's allow him to respond to that.
Thank you, Gloria.
Friend, Honorable Babu, reality then is that we already have the document here. Whichever way we want to look at it, we have it. And so we have to have indeed a discussion revolving around that. So moving forward, how do you sell this document so that it's able to swim, you know, in a yes?
Thank you, Gloria. I get Gloria, and Gloria, it's not about any youth being given a job. This country belongs to everybody. And as a youth, you need to fight for your space. You don't wait to be given. And as a youth, the moment you get a seed capital to start a business, create opportunities. Yes, you can succeed through jobs, being given jobs or being employed. But as a youth, also give jobs, create jobs, be innovative. I'm the one who came up with this idea of the National Youth Commission, where the youth interest shall be channeled through that commission. For the first time, it's going to be there. And I started by saying there can't be a constitution without constitutionalism. Let us have constitutionalism so that we implement. Let us not fight the document. Let us fight on how this document is going to be implemented. But before the implementation, we must start by having the document. So the document is already on the table. And Gloria, there are people in this country, starting by myself, who fought his way up, became a member of parliament, did not wait to be given. There are people like Fidel Castro, who was a president at a youth age, fought his way up. There are people like Gloria right now who are having their jobs, fought their way up. Let no youth wait to be given. A little sleep, a little slumber, and a little folding of the arms, and poverty shall strike you like an armed robber, says the Bible.
Wait a minute.
So,
no, Babu, let's be honest for a moment.
Yes.
However much we'd want to push the youth to that, they will tell you how harsh the environment is first.
You see, it is harsh for everybody, Linda.
It is harsh for everybody.
Let me tell you.
How can we soften
Linda,
it?
Let me tell you something.
Yes.
Already opportunities are there.
Yeah.
But the youth must come out of their comfort zone. You must be desperate. For you to be success, you must be desperate. And success is not in the achievement. It is in the pursuit of that achievement of something.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, every youth has equal opportunity. Youth must come out. Youth must
do you realize the difficulties
a youth
you
must
go
never
through
just be dreaming, but a youth must have a vision.
Okay.
So let me
an equal opportunity.
May
that
I
is
finish?
not true. We have underserved communities of youth who have fought and have been fighting all their
May I
lives.
finish?
But they don't have the
Let's allow him to
that
finish.
Gloria,
Let's allow him to
were it
finish.
not for Babu Owino creating his own opportunity, I would have not stopped selling changa in Nyalenda slums. How many people in Nyalenda slums have come out like myself? But we as leaders who are at the apex now, we need also to bring ourselves, the youth who are on the ground up. We need to motivate them. Through Babu Owino, by Babu Owino being a member of parliament, is a source of inspiration to some youth. Youth must come out, must vie for these elective positions in 2022.
But you equally have to make it, an easy ground, Babu. Imagine, this is a scenario. In most cases, you say, I've grown up, in a very tight environment, and so I'm trying my level best to make it a better ground for my little child.
But you see, let me tell you something. I'm not here to defend the government.
Yes.
In fact, I was at one point a worst critic of this same government.
The president
but because of the
acknowledged
handshake, even the president acknowledged.
Yes.
But because of the handshake, I saw that my interest as Babu Owino, the interest of Kenyan citizens are bigger, or is bigger than the interest of Babu Owino. Let me tell you, it must start by you as a youth. You must fight. You are either in the menu as a youth, or you are on the table. If you are in the menu, you will be eaten by those sitting on the table. So a youth who is on the table must always fight to be on that table. And if you're not on the table, don't be in the menu, break that table so that nobody gets anything. And number two, youth are the majority in this country.
Yes.
Today, if youth in this country want to elect a president, they will elect a president because their composition is over 65%. So youth must never be an enemy of a fellow youth. Let them stand up, let them unite, let them fight for their own common interest. Now, let's talk about, for example, the jobs that are at the county level through devolution. The majority of the beneficiaries are the youth. Taking into account that the youth are the majority in this country, comprised of over 60%, 65%. So it means that the majority who are employed through that devolution are the youth. The youth fund is there to provide capital for the youth. The women fund also providing money for women as a seed capital, and also the youthful women as a seed capital to start up business opportunities. So we as youths, let us rise. Let us have the ability and the thinking that we can also create jobs. Let us not just wait that you have to be given.
Gloria.
Yes, I'm agreeable to a lot of the things that Babu is saying, but I also understand that once sometimes you get elected and you move closer to power, you sort of tend to forget where you came from. The youth are fighting. The youth are fighting every day. They are waking up to fight the day, to make sure that they keep their heads above the water. Alela, I work. A lot of programs that I do are actually in the slums, in the underserved regions, in the communities that are completely poor. Even if you tell them, fight for a chance, what they are really looking for is an opportunity. For instance, Alela, I'll tell you, right now I'm in Kisii County because my interest, as you know, is I'm running for Member of Parliament in Bovasi constituency.
Wow,
the places that we work, the places we have programs. When you wake up and you tell someone, you can't just sit there, you have to wake up and fight. You also have to understand, what are they fighting for? Opportunities on that level in the underserved communities are very minimum. And what the government is supposed to do, and what we are pushing the government to do, either through the BBI or other agencies, is to create those opportunities. When you talk about Youth Fund and Uwezo Fund and all these things that are trickling down to the ward, what we are asking for, which I'm glad that that's one of the things that BBI has addressed, is things like incubation centers. Because even if you give me 10,000 shillings, which I have never ever touched in my life down in the grassroots, and you tell me that now after 6 months you're going to pay back, I don't know how much of a percentage. If I'm not using that 10,000 shillings to be able to start an income generating activity or propel myself into employment, then of course that model is not working. So, I mean, to say that the youth are not fighting for the spaces or for opportunities, that is very wrong. The youth are fighting for those opportunities. The only thing they're asking for is there a way that the government can create more opportunities? And that is what the Jubilee government tried to do with the Big Four agenda, manufacturing, affordable housing, and all that. All of that, when you look at really what they were trying to do, is create more and more jobs and opportunities for the youth to have an income. So, Babu Owino, I see that you're trying to come out strong in pushing the youth, but I want to ask you kindly, remember where you came from and how many opportunities are there. And by the way, when you talk about elected leaders, Babu Owino is one of the youthful elected leaders, but we have about over 30, a little bit over 30. We have people like Silvana Sosoro, we have people like Caleb Amisi, there are so many people who also fought their way and got there. Now what we are saying is, once you're there, Babu Owino, don't forget where you come from, and not everyone has to fight as hard as.
And you know, I'm here trying to get a clip of this lady, and yes. Gloria, I'm here trying to get a clip of this lady because in my capacity, I'm not allowed to take any sides. And so this lady complains of how hard it is to set up a business in the country as a youth. And that is not to mean that this person has not gone out of their way trying to struggle. And yes, eventually it would work. But reality is that they also feel like you've not done enough as youth leaders in
Linda,
representing.
Linda, let me be honest with you.
Yeah.
Life is full of long-term sorrows, punctuated with unnecessary irregularities.
Okay.
And it is about life. That is why it is life.
Okay.
And all this, by the end of the day, you will realize that even if you achieve, even the Bible says that rich person and the poor person, it's all vanity.
It is.
That intelligent person and the most foolish person, it's all vanity.
Yeah.
And it is so. I'm so glad that Gloria is vying for an elective position. And I'm very sure that you will join us soon, and I'm praying for you. As a youthful person, you will also be in our position very soon to defend this. I want to give you a political advice. Gloria, number one, I know you're really fighting for the interest of the youth as much as I do. So the idea of putting a perception that Babu Owino is not fighting for the interest of the youth is neither here nor there. Embakasi East constituency is now ceasing to be a constituency and becoming a republic. Why? Because of the great job and the opportunities that we've given the youth and the women and the jobs that we've done at the ground level. As Babu Owino, as a youthful leader, I did come up with an education policy within my ranks. What did I do? I did come up with online lessons. And you remember, when I wanted children at primary level, students at high school level, and comrades at the university level to also make it through education, because there are different aisles to the city of victory. There are different avenues to the city of victory in the different aisles of life. And what did I do? I came up, I spent my time. I wanted to at least inspire, give hope, and tell them that if Babu Owino can do this, you can also do it. If Babu Owino came from selling changa, you can also come from being a Juakali person, a boda boda rider. You can come from being a Mjengo person to also be a better person.
Why do you castigate the hustler narrative?
I'm not saying that at that level is bad, but as at that level, at least it's also supporting you. Babu Owino was selling changa. I was proud of being a changa seller. I was being arrested at the age of 8, 9, 10, because during that time policemen were harassing people. And you see, even this new constitution has also fought for that harassment. And you see, at least we can say there's that extrajudicial killing, the police harassment, to some extent it reduced. To some extent. But I'm also a proud person to have said that at least through Almighty God, I made my way up. And I want to tell Gloria that whenever you see a political wave moving in a specific direction, please, irrespective of how radical somebody may be, irrespective of what you want to achieve, try to be in tandem with that, try to be congruent with that political wave.
Okay.
You see, because it is for the best interest of Kenyans. Why is it that all major political bigwigs,
and that is the big question, yes.
I gave you your time. I gave you your time, Gloria. Why is it that all these political bigwigs are uniting for the best interest of Kenyans, save for one person?
Not in preparation for the seats that they
It's
look
not
forward
that,
to?
because it's not that, because Kenya is there to stay. Before us, there were leaders. Before them, there were leaders. Now there are leaders.
They will
After
be
us,
there
there
and
will
go.
be leaders.
Okay.
So we cannot make a constitution for specific individuals. You see, constitution is for prosperity, for posterity. It's for the foreseeable future. This country will stay. After these people, we will come. We will have these positions. But you must work from a position. The position of a prime minister is not just being created. It's like the position that Duale had. You are just going to occupy that position because it is elected from within parliament with the same structure, with the same workers that were there.
Eventually, he's not there.
It is the position that Kimunya now is handling. That is the position of a prime minister.
Okay.
So it is not creating a position for any specific person. And even if we were to create a position for somebody, is the juice not worth the squeeze? Even if we were to create, for
You'd say
example,
they are Kenyans after all.
they are Kenyans and they also need jobs.
All right,
so
let's
why
allow
are you feeling bad
Gloria
if a
to
Kenyan
come
is
to
being
that.
given a job?
Gloria.
Allow me. I thank you, Mheshimiwa Babu Owino, for your unsolicited advice. What I'm getting is that he's advising me if there's a certain political wave, if I'm a political strategist, I should try and, get myself into the wave. No, we are Kenyans and we are youth and we are independent thinkers and we have ideologies that we would like to execute. And Alela, for a fact that people might see that I am a Tanga empathizer, or I am.
For a moment, I questioned her on that. I have asked her personally, are you not?
Yes.
But then again, you listen to her argument and you understand that, well, has some logic.
No, she's a Tanga sympathizer. Yeah.
No, allow me. I've told you so many times, Alela. If I was a Tanga, if I was a Babu, can you allow me to speak?
Okay.
If I was what Babu Owino is trying to paint me as, a person that is just following a goon for hire, whatever, at the end of the day, I should be right now opposing completely the BBI or sitting on the fence because that is what they are claiming William Ruto is doing. Yeah. But I'm telling you, Alela, that from the very onset of this initiative, I came out very strong about my interest in the youth agenda. And the moment they looked like they were not even going to entertain the youth agenda in it, that is when I started understanding that, okay, this is not for the youth. This is definitely not for us. There's nothing in here for us. And I've always stood on the argument that unless the youth are well represented and our interests are actually pushed in that initiative, I don't see any reason for me to then go out if they package it as one and say you either vote yes or no. Why would I vote yes? And I know very well my passion and my interest as representing the youth is not in there. Another thing that Babu Owino said that I would like to correct is, we are not saying that you have done nothing, that you as an elected leader, you have done nothing. I'm glad that you're talking about the YouTube classes that you started doing to inspire students and things like that. Mheshimiwa, you are an elected leader, a member of parliament. Your role is to ensure that we influence policy, that we bring in laws that are going to change the lives of Kenyans at a large scale. So it is good that on your personal level, there are things that you're doing. But what we expect from elected leaders, and not only you, but from all these other leaders, including Akina Osoro, Sylvanus Osoro, Caleb, and who, all these youth elected leaders, we expect to see a lot more work in the National Assembly pushing for the youth agenda. We expect to see.
And I've been doing that. And I've been doing that a lot.
You're talking about YouTube channels. We're expecting to see bills that would have said, at this point, we actually saw Babu Owino table a bill that was then going to ensure that 70 or 60% of the jobs that are going to be created through that SGR or whatever are going to be pushed to the youth. We expect to see you doing a little bit more, because you're no longer Babu Owino from the slums you came from, but you're now
Gloria,
Babu Owino.
Gloria, Babu acknowledges that he's been doing that, and I mean, at least we've been here enough to know that indeed he's been doing that. Probably change of tact. Why is it then that you oppose the change of tact in regards to what is being proposed by the BBI? Because, well, with what it is that we probably have not had the changes that we desire, and so it is only fair that, you know, we try and see whether we can incorporate something different, just to see whether we can get results as we close.
You see, Alela, I've accepted that most of the things that we tabled for the youth agenda are not going to be incorporated. I've accepted. And that is the reason why now what we've moved to doing is sensitizing other constituencies of people, including the women and all these other groups of people, sensitizing them on the bill and letting them understand, when you go to vote, this is exactly what you're voting for. When it comes to the person when it comes to the interest of women, this is exactly what you're voting for. Yes, they are introducing this and that. We are now moving to sensitizing people. Personally, I do not feel that this is an initiative that we should have really placed emphasis on at the time where we are right now after the pandemic. But since the tide, as Babu Owino said, is going this way, then I'm saying, okay, the bill is there. If we are pushed to a referendum where we are going to vote yes or no, personally, I have understood all the things that I do not stand for, that I do not believe in, and so therefore I'll vote no, and that is my right.
Thank you, Gloria.
Let's close as we close.
The reason why I'm a little bit unhappy with Gloria is because Gloria is just negative for nothing, and she is acknowledging that actually this new constitution is going to give an opportunity. Number one, when you compare the 2010 constitution and the 2021 constitution that is going to be just promulgated very soon, when we compare the two, the first constitution never had the National Youth Commission, never gave 7 years tax, the holidays, never gave 4 years for university students to at least clear, get a job, get empowered, then start paying help after 4 years. Never gave women opportunity to be nominated, the 2/3 gender rule to be satisfied, then the affirmative action to be taken into consideration. Never gave an opportunity for women to be either governors automatically or deputy governors, as it may be in the
Gloria
in the
has challenged the mechanism.
Now let me just tell you that. Let me compare these two constitutions. So now that there is an improvement, why can't we appreciate first? And then we fight about the implementation. It's not just about going to parliament and making bills. How many bills have been made in the parliament and they are not implemented? Let us talk about implementation of what is existing first as we make more. Gloria, today, if you have a husband who is cheating on you, and this husband has been having, for example, 3 side chicks, and then the husband decides to leave only 1 side chick, is that not an improvement? Or the husband decides to leave the 3, and then so you have to appreciate that this man has at least left 1, is remaining with 2, but the fact that he's given faith and hope that he can leave 1 means that he can leave the other 2. So let us appreciate the growth.
Babu, no.
Let us appreciate the growth.
As a woman, and I know that I'm going against what it is that I'm supposed to,
for cheating.
I say no.
I'm not advocating for cheating. But let us at least appreciate.
Actually, I agree with.
Please close it, Gloria, in 30 seconds.
Yeah, I agree with him, but I'm just saying we have an opportunity to get it right the first time. We don't need, when we've already seen that there's something wrong, we don't need to go and execute something wrong when we have an opportunity to get it to get it right the first time. That is my fundamental.
So let us get it right now. We never got it right in 2010 when we promulgated the 2010 constitution. Let us get it right now by promulgating a 2021 constitution. Gloria.
Which is just an an improvement of this one.
Yes, it is an improvement. Let us accept an improvement.
But you know, some
Gloria,
of these things are what
at 99 years, Sarah didn't have a child. At 99 years, but God gave a child. She accepted, she agreed, she was happy. We have a newborn baby at the right age before the constitution reaches the menopause.
We have an opportunity to get it right now. You understand? We have an opportunity now that we are improving the 2010 constitution. We have an opportunity to get it right now. So when religious leaders, people with disability, youth come and tell you, we like these tax breaks, but can you do ABC so we can get it right? I don't think you should say, you know, the train has left the station. That is where the Tanga and Kieleweke people are differing. When they come and say, okay, this is right and this is wrong, try and fine tune it, because we have that opportunity. There's no hurry. We are not in a hurry to change the constitution. So Babu, don't tell us to implement something wrong when we already know we can see
what is wrong in
especially
it,
on the
Gloria?
The mechanisms
no, there is nothing wrong in this. It is only Gloria's
the mechanisms
mind
of
that is
implementing
thinking so.
these things. And you know, she brings particular
Let us
points.
talk about implementation, Linda. Let us talk about implementation. Let us not talk about the document in itself.
She mentioned something. She mentioned something when she started. That aspect of saying the tax break. So what happens in the event that you're 34, or you're 34? Well, the bracket is 35 or so to speak, and so you're being given 1 year tax break. Like, let's be realistic.
But you are already given as at the age of a youth.
Okay, before you
as at the age of a youth, which means you still qualify for that year 7 year tax
break. You do not get the luxury of getting a business as early as that.
But you see, at least we have something.
Yourself, you said it was difficult for youth to start businesses at the age of that 18 or 16 or 20. So what we are saying is create an environment such that when I'm 18, I can be able to start that business and enjoy that 7 year tax break.
Don't be negative,
there's an
Gloria.
issue.
Don't be negative. We have billionaires at the age of 16 and 17 in the country, in the whole world.
This is why BBI is split between people who are supporting it, and because the BBI drivers of the initiative are not listening. You're not listening to what we're trying to tell you.
I think BBI is supported by intelligent people.
Oh, and so what are you trying to insinuate?
That's, I've said I think so, because we can easily understand
Babu
this
confirms
thing.
what it is that you thought would be when you were coming in. I think it's only fair that we close it, right? Gloria.
Absolutely. I think at the rate at which the conversation is going.
Babu will just confirm what it is that you were thinking before we came. We came on board.
I said I was very surprised with the pleasant conversation we had, but clearly,
Gloria,
anyway, thank you so much, Adela, for having
even the Bible
me on the
says, spoil the child,
spare the road.
Spare the road and spoil the child. The Bible says so.
You are so biblical. I do not understand why or how, but yes.
Seek ye unto the kingdom of God first, and every other thing shall be added unto you.
The Bible. He keeps quoting things. You know, we have Kenyans who are Hindus, who are Muslims, who are
you see how Gloria is negative. Let's finish the debate. Gloria,
yes, here we are.
Negativity will make you not win that position. Please save your life by being positive.
But we know, thank you very much for the support, and I'll tell you something, it is my civic right and responsibility to question government initiatives. So actually what I'm doing is increasing my chances to win that position.
And limitations.
Honorable Babu Owino, Member of Parliament, Embakasi East, it was good having you this morning. Gloria Oroba, political aspirant and youth policy analyst, thank you so much for the great insights. As we look forward to more conversation in regards to this,